Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Love and Lattes. I'm Victoria, the self-love scientist, and today we are honored by the presence of James Preece. James is one of the UK's leading dating coaches. He has been working in the industry for almost 2 decades and has helped tens of thousands of men and women worldwide find love, build confidence, and improve their relationships. James' strategies and advice make sure you know exactly what to do in order to have happy, long-lasting, and meaningful relationships. He's a regular featured expert in top UK and international media and the host of the Love Machine podcast. James is also the author of 15 best-selling dating books, including the Amazon #1 bestseller online dating guide, I Will Make You Click. James, welcome to Love and Lattes. I'm so excited to have you.
I'm excited too. Thank you so much for having me.
In the past, James and I also had our own episode about almost, I think, a year ago when we kind of connected through a podcasting platform. So it's kind of exciting to have you here.
The tables are turned. That's what's happening today. And I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to this very much and wondering what you're going to be asking me.
I
And it's good to be
know.
tested after 20 years. So, yeah, I'm really excited to be here today.
Yes. So, um, as a dating expert, James, and dating being one of the hottest topics in like from social media to something that a lot of individuals crave, the first thing that came up to me is what makes you the expert? Like, how do you define yourself as a dating coach?
It goes back 20 years, like you said, almost 2 decades. And I was an actor back in the day and also single. And I was going on lots of dates at the time. I was very fortunate. My university was one of the first to have the internet. So I was doing chat rooms back in before online dating was even a thing. And I became very good at that. And in my acting days, I managed to gate crash a huge singles party in London called Chemistry. They had thousands of people at it. And my friend was working there. She gave me a t-shirt. I put it on and I pretended that I was one of the hosts at the party. And it was great fun. There were celebrities there, lots of people mingling. And I realised that my actor skills were very transferable. Confidence, body language, conversation. Really great to talk to people and help them. So I went around telling people I was the UK's #1 dating host, which meant absolutely nothing at the time. But to me, it was quite a big deal. There weren't dating coaches back in the day. It wasn't this thing that we did. And people started to hire me at their events. And before long, I met my wife, not through one of these events, but elsewhere. And people started then paying me to teach them all the secrets that I taught myself over the years. So nowadays I work with different brands. I do have clients. I work with matchmakers all over the world. And yeah, I have clients all around the world, I was going to say. But I'm very blessed to do what I do. And the interesting thing, like you said, dating is always very topical and trending. It's also evolving. People seem to be more frustrated the more opportunities that we get. So dating is definitely very different to how it was 20 years ago, and certainly very different to how it was when my parents were dating.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And I have to say, I have definitely heard, like dating is hard, dating is difficult, or
Mm.
the most famous line nowadays is, "How are you still single?"
Oh,
Or,
yes. Yeah.
my my friends who are married or with long-term partners are like, "I can't imagine what it's like to be in your shoes right now." And to me, it's one of those things where I'm like, is it really that hard? Are we really making dating that more difficult? What do you think?
I'll start with the good news. The good news is dating is much easier to do to get dates than it ever was. Because we've got the internet, we've got dating apps, we've got more social events, people are more aware the taboo has gone of meeting somebody online. That's long gone now. And if you want to get a date, you can technically go onto a dating app and get one within about 10 minutes if you really wanted to and knew what you were doing. The problem is that these apps are so transactional. People are going on there. Do I find them attractive? Yes or no? And we're ruling perfectly good matches out based on a photograph that could be fake, it could be filtered, it could be 20 years ago. And therefore, we're eliminating perfectly good qualities of people. Because what's more important than someone's photograph? Art values, interest, life goals, sense of humour, intimacy levels. All these things are so much more important than just how fit someone is in that one particular picture. So I think dating's become hard. because the apps are not designed to help you meet people. The apps are designed to keep you paying forever, because what happens if you get a happy ever after on there? They lose 2 customers for life who don't come back and don't pay any money. So these apps will, Hinge, for example, one of my favorite apps, in all fairness, they will learn what you want, learn your type, and then put it behind an extra paywall where you've got to buy roses to meet your standouts. So they're designed to make it more complicated. But I do think, overall, if people put the effort in and know what they're doing, they can get matches and get lots of dates. And it takes a bit of confidence, a bit of a plan, and it also requires a combination of not just using the apps, but going out into the real world and meeting people. You told me something on my podcast or in one of our chats that you're more than happy just to approach people and go and talk to them if you find them attractive. People are terrified to do that nowadays, particularly after the pandemic. So I'd love to hear your tips on that, to be honest, to how you do it. But do you agree with me? That's not very commonplace nowadays.
The dating apps?
No, people approaching.
Oh, the approach method. Well,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, this is something I started picking up, I want to say this year, like probably more so throughout the summer, because
Yeah.
I feel like we're holding ourselves back. And I have gotten to a point where I personally think like when we move forward with intentional, like with an intention behind, seeking partners or dating, it's, not only do I get to apply my values and like the way I feel about myself, I just, you can still be just as picky as you are on the apps in real life, except that you have to move through the notion that regardless of like how it might be reciprocated, like, I did share that story where I was walking past the cafe, saw a gentleman in the window, and even though I was going in there to get my tea, I still managed to go up to him and be like, I just want to let you know that you look handsome today. And I just moved forward, and they said, well, thank you. You don't hear that anymore. And
No.
I have had some of my best dates came from just organic interaction, being approached by men or vice versa, where I approach them and just to say hello and smile, which I think is the number one thing that invites and starts the conversation. And I think once, from a man or a woman, I think once you kind of exchange smiles, then you kind of create that it's safe for me to speak or say something. Because if we don't say something, we miss out on these beautiful opportunities to meet beautiful people.
Exactly. And there are opportunities absolutely everywhere that you go. In the cafe, in the supermarket, in the gym, in the station, everywhere that you go, there's people. You've no idea if they're single or not, but just saying hello to them, wishing them good morning, paying them a compliment, how is that bad in any way? You're paying people compliments. They're going to feel great from that for the rest of the day. The times people have approached me and paid me a compliment, it remembers you. I can still remember some of the recent times. It stays with you, doesn't it? If someone pays a compliment, a complete stranger. Even if they are an old granny, for example, paying you a compliment, it still sticks in your mind. It's a nice thing. Just thinking of the last time someone approached me last week in a bookstore and paid me a compliment, but they're in their 70s. But I would still take it. I'll take what I can get nowadays. It was nice. But I think being kinder to each other is one of my themes on my podcast. And I think we need to be kinder because kindness opens doors. And being true to who you are opens doors as well. You're never going to meet anybody if you are too afraid to go and say hello, too afraid to attend that barbecue that you invited to, and too afraid to go onto an app because you might just get rejected. No one's going to knock on your door and say, hi, I'm here, I brought you a pizza and I'm ready to date you. Not going to happen. So you've got to get out that door and take some action in a nice, safe way. And then the magic happens.
What are your thoughts? Have you heard the phrase? I think it's something that I found on, like, even through social media, when you're, let's say you're wanting to find your person or attract that person in, and they say, like, I want to make sure I say this right. But some will say, just continue living your life and it just kind of brings it to you. Or do you put yourself in places where you think your partner would be?
Are you referring to the phrase, love happens when you least expect it?
Oh, maybe.
Is that what you mean? Which is absolute nonsense, to be honest, in that phrase. I tell you why it's nonsense. If you want anything to happen, you've got to take some action. And
Yeah.
I think that's an excuse for people just to be a bit wimpy and not do anything in their lives. Now, but there is a caveat to this, because I believe you have to be, as you know, self-love expert, you have to be happy in your own skin first, because that is the starting point for anything. If you are confident and you radiate confidence and the sexuality and all these lovely things that you need to be, then people will be drawn to you naturally, and that's going to happen. Most people aren't, though. If you sit down and do nothing and don't work on yourself and you don't take any action, nothing's ever going to change. So I think it's a nonsense, really, bit of advice people tell each other. I'm very honest and blunt, as you know. This is my style, but I am saying it with love, of course, because I think if you do learn to work on yourself, then you can attract that, and you radiate that, and people will be drawn to it. This is very, very important. And I find that just having a good life and enjoying it is great. The other thing I hear a lot that goes alongside that is just be yourself. Everyone says, well, there's no point pretending to be someone else, just be yourself, which is absolutely fine advice, unless you've got a really boring, dull life and nothing going on. Then being yourself isn't making you happy. How's it going to make someone else happy? Go out there, embrace life for all it is, get some new hobbies, go to some new places, get a new wardrobe, go to the gym, do all these things, and then you'll be happier in yourself, and then you'll be the best version of yourself. And the best version of yourself is the one that's going to go out there and have the happiest relationships. And I'm sure you agree with that.
I absolutely do. I definitely, like, personally, I can recall a time where I was like, when will it get to be my turn? And when will I get to find, love or the perfect partner? Or, why does this keep happening? And then I realized, like, first I had to work on myself 100%. I said, in order for me to receive this, am I giving it to myself first? And once I can give it to myself, then I know I am capable of sharing that with someone else. And I think that's also something people tend to forget when they're dating or pursuing a relationship is they think, I'm going out there or I'm on the app and expecting everything just to come from me. And I'll be honest with you, James, I don't think that works very well, because next thing you know, you're literally sitting on your couch on a Friday night waiting for someone to like just plan it out for you. And like that's
You can't do that.
You can't.
You can't. It's like any sort of job. Dating is marketing. If you're doing nothing, then no one's going to know about you, no one's going to find you, and you're not going to get any leads. And I talk about leads all the time in my own coaching. Something else I want to touch upon as well, something you just said, is that self-love again. We are always working on ourselves. We are a constant work in progress. And it's very easy to be hard on ourselves and tell ourselves negative things all the time. I'm absolutely the same as this. I think I do my best to work on myself and be positive mindset is what I do. But today, I went out for lunch today, saw an old friend, went out for a pizza. I've not had a pizza for ages and I absolutely regret eating it. I feel awful, I feel sluggish. I've got my energy now, of course, but I had to go for a walk to shake it off. But I'm thinking, am I going to be hard on myself for eating a pizza once in a while? Or I had a really good time seeing an old friend, having something to eat, and that's what's more important. So I think self-love is not beating yourself up all the time, not being, oh, I'm never going to meet somebody. It's positive mindset. Sometimes you just do what you want to do in the way you want to live it, because life is very short. So there you go. That's my thoughts on that. Just to throw in the mix.
I do think I kind of want to circle back to something you did say earlier, because
Oh dear, yeah.
he's like, no.
Call me out, go for it. Yeah.
Well, what you said actually resonated with like me, and I know people listening, this might surprise them. Earlier you mentioned, it's not just the apps, this is real life too. And, it used to be just like, oh, like go based off of looks. When in reality, I find that, women or men are actually looking for more of, something a lot more deeper and meaningful, AKA someone who creates, like, who brings the best out of them, someone that makes them laugh or makes them feel like, to me, it's all about safety with intimacy. Instead of just, they have to have, be a millionaire. I'm not saying you can't, but, they have to have lots of money. They have to drive this specific car. It's more so of, like, I find the dating, what people are seeking are a little bit different compared to like what people actually might think dating is. What do you think? Like, what do you think women want?
What women say they want and what they actually really want are two different things. That's the reaction. They will go onto the apps and they will filter people out based on age, based on height, based on all these random things that aren't so important. What women really want is someone that is going to support them and be an equal with them. And what men really want is someone exactly the same, who is not going to be challenging them and giving them a hard life and nagging them all the time. They want someone they can support, and it's a teamwork. But we've got an imbalance now, though. We've got an imbalance that women are absolutely rightly getting their own lives, their own job, and they're displacing the men. They are able to look after themselves until they want to have children. So these women who are very successful, which are many of my clients, this is why I'm mentioning this, people that have got money and success, they are looking for somebody who is someone even more powerful and successful than they are, which makes their pool a lot smaller. Men don't care less. They don't care how successful a woman is, as long as she's nice and then they laugh at their jokes and then they feel comfortable with them and they feel safe and supported. That's all they really want. But I find women can be very judgmental when it comes to what they're looking for. And it's what you just said now, really, isn't it? They're looking for things that they don't really need. Because the more boxes you tick in the real world or on the apps, the more likely you are to find this a difficult path. And this is why men do what's called scattergun. They will approach lots of women. They will do it online, offline. They will swipe everybody until they get a match. Women are so much more picky when it comes to this. But I think there's a reason for this also. Genetically, women that want to have children, they will be naturally drawn to the men that are the tallest, the fittest, the strongest. Because that's what they think in their back of their brain is telling them that's what they need to have with a father. So if someone's a little bit short or not quite in shape, they're going to reject them without them even realising it. But once people go above possibility of having children, women always say to me, I don't really care about looks so much now, looks fade. They want somebody who is intelligent, who can enjoy their company and just have a nice adventure with. Because life is an adventure and that's what people want. What about you? What do you think about that?
I do believe that having a physical attraction is important in terms of partnership.
Yeah.
I find that if we get really picky, as we both, it sounds like we both see that, like, if we get really specific, like he needs to be the breadwinner, he's got to drive this car, he's got to work in this industry and dress this way. I think that could become difficult. At the same time, like me personally, I do think having that attraction, like level of attraction to a person is important. I also think meeting and sharing similar interests, like for me, my health is important. So it's important for me to see that value in them as well. So it's like, are they going, do they work out? Do they enjoy going outside? Do they want to travel? Do they prefer, are they a speakeasy or are they a dive bar kind of person? Those little...
Both. Huh? Both. You can both those things.
I think it can be pretty interesting to kind of like, there are some things I like that are not as important for me, especially like I would say now more so. Like I remember thinking before, and this was when I was a little more like naive. I was like, oh, he's got to make money, so I'm taken care of. And now I'm at a point where it's like, it would be great to meet my equal in terms of, finances, and if not more, because it's something we can build together. That's part of a wealth.
That's so true. I do think that physical attraction is a major part of this. Mm-hmm. I can't deny this. I encourage people to be as open-minded as possible. Now, there are people out there that are sapiosexual. They're into people who are into intelligence or into humour or they're into certain types of people. Absolutely valid. But if you just don't fancy somebody, you don't fancy them. And it's really hard to force it. But there is something called the familiarity principle in psychology. And that means the longer you spend with somebody, getting to know them over time, the more likely you are to like them. Because you'll realise that you have got some similar values, similar interests, similar life goals, and you're creating new memories together. So I do believe if there's any possibility that someone you're not that sure about to start with, then give it a go for a couple of dates and just see if anything develops. Because quite often it can. Because we've all got these walls up to start with. We're not so relaxed. And when that wall starts to drop and you see the real version for who they really are, then you can be attracted to that. But really, physical attraction is what it is. And I spend a lot of time talking people out of this because I work with lots of matchmaking companies. But really, you can't help who you find attractive. But people can grow on you. That's my bit of advice there.
I really do. I think I would say a really great attraction in a partner is when they add that value to you. They help bring out, like, again, I think we said it earlier, they bring out the best in you. When you're with them, you have this level of confidence, if not something better with them. You're like, wow, like I really feel at home with you. Or, it's nice that I can kind of lower my guard down because I have developed, a level of safety and trust with you. And I think that's important versus just feel like, well, at least, they take care of themselves, but I still feel like icky,
It's funny how sometimes you can meet somebody and have that bond with them where you do connect and you feel you can say anything to them. And I find this sometimes, like you on my podcast, quite a lot of people I do talk to, I do feel that. I feel I connect with people very quickly. Now, it's not in a relationship dating way, of course, but it's some sort of, it's energy levels, isn't it? That's what it is. And I think you have to match someone's energy. If someone's very much all boring and dull, so I shouldn't say that, it's not really what I meant to say there. If someone out there is low energy, to be safe for whatever reason, and some people are high energy, And you have to have a mix of this in all relationships. But I just think you are drawn to certain people sometimes in life. And then when you do, you know that person is someone you're going to spend time with one way or another. Does that make any sense?
I think so. And I think, like you said, it kind of comes back to energy and intuition. Like,
Mm.
do you find that your clients kind of know right off the bat, like they have a good feeling, or do they need to go through like you mentioned, like just creating that confidence for them and helping them explore
Yeah,
different
I
avenues?
have to help people with that. But I find that people have got confidence within them, but everyone in life has been hurt and damaged in some way. We are
Mhm.
all very much broken people, and I've yet to meet someone that isn't broken in some way. And being broken isn't a bad thing. It doesn't mean you need to be fixed. It just means we're a bit fragile in certain areas, and we can focus on others. That's all. But it's inner strength. That's what it is. And even people that have been severely broken and had trauma, often they're left as an adult with lots of inner strength to help them build. And people won't come to me for coaching unless they're ready for a change.
Mhm.
That's an interesting thing. Probably the same for you. They won't come until they feel it's their time. Because no one's going to have the confidence to reach out in the first place, are they, to do that? So I think people come to me when they're ready and they know that they can do this. All they need is a helping hand and a bit of a kick to get forwards in making progress towards that. And it's nice to people come to me just for my opinion as a guy, because there's only women that do coaching and they want to hear a male opinion. And the men come to me because they know I've achieved what they want to achieve. So it works out really well. But it can take time finding somebody, and there's no rush for anything. But all you have to do is get started. So many people. I had this conversation this morning with a matchmaker, and she was saying people seem to be taking their time more than ever about what they want to do. They really want to get a partner, but they're delaying their memberships with dating apps or agencies or even coaching by up to a year sometimes because the time isn't quite right, and they're just waiting and waiting. Or wait till I lose a stone. Wait till I get a new job. Wait till the weather changes. Wait till Christmas. This happens, but in reality, all that's doing is wasting your life. Make that start now and make the change. And then you can become the person you want to be, and then date the person that you really want to be with and who you deserve to be with.
I love that. And I agree. You just said something that was like, something I started right after a couple weeks after the divorce a couple years ago. And that was, I was dating myself first to to know what I enjoyed and what I needed. Like, what is it that I need to create in order for me, it was more so, how can I learn from this experience so that when the time is coming and I'm ready to seek a partner, like I know exactly what it is I want.
Yeah, we're always learning.
Mm,
And as long as you're learning something every day, then there's no need to be hard on yourself and just enjoy the journey. Because bad things are going to happen, but they teach us and they direct us towards the good stuff. That's something to remember. And even my mum had a conversation with me about this today. Because I think your path you're on, because you had the bad relationships that led to other ones, and we've all got points in our life when our path could have deviated in different ways. My mum was saying that when she was younger, she had an exam and didn't do very well in the exam. It's not exactly what she said, but I'm paraphrasing here. And she didn't do that. But had she not done, if she'd done well in the exam, her path would have been a different way. She'd have gone to a different place, wouldn't have met my dad, and I wouldn't be here. And I wouldn't be doing this podcast had she passed that exam. And the same for me. Had I done things differently in my life or dated somebody else, I wouldn't be having the amazing life that I've got. So when you think things aren't working and you think I've been rejected, or you think, well, I'm not going to find somebody, all that's doing is redirecting you on the correct path. And I
mm.
do think we've got a certain path we have to follow. And if we do steer too far off that, life will teach us a way to make sure we get back on the path. And I'm finding that more and more in my life right now.
I'm so glad you said that. That was
Yeah.
beautiful.
I
That's
try. I try.
it's very similar to just like it's like what we talked about earlier, like approaching people. And it's I have a wonderful story of, at the end of July, not the end of July, beginning of July, I met someone just in passing on the metro, and it could have been fast and it could have just been nothing. But the fact that we intentionally were like, okay, one of us is going to say something, and I literally was like, hello. And if I didn't do that, because I could feel it within myself, if I wouldn't have done that, then I wouldn't have enjoyed getting to know them. And they were actually quite, pivotal and added value to my life, even though we no longer see each other. Like it was just an amazing, when we think about it, like we'll sit there and be like, can you imagine if we never said hello? Because
Yeah.
I think there's this and you can let me know your thoughts on this, but I think there's some kind of like societal expectation, like, oh, he's going to say something first, and he's not sure if he should approach me, just things like that. And I think that can kind of take over our hidden desire to be like, like, should I say something? Do I have the confidence? And I would say yes, just do it.
We do. I think what's happened now is men have lost their confidence because they aren't sure what's appropriate anymore. The whole Me Too thing, absolutely great in many ways, but men are now scared to approach women more than ever. It was always difficult in the first place for most guys, unless they're a bit drunk or a bit cocky to do that, because there's the fear of rejection. And now there's the fear of rejection in front of crowds. If you approach someone on the train like you did or had the conversation, all that whole train could potentially laugh at him. Oh no, she's rejected him, ha ha ha. So you're putting yourself in that situation. In reality, you don't know each other. And if you don't know each other when you get off the train and you've tried, you still don't know each other. So you've lost nothing other than being a bit proud of yourself because you at least tried. I went on the train once, years ago, a very busy train, and I was running singles events. And I went on the train and I shouted out, is anyone on this train single? And then people were saying, I'm single, single, giving out the cards I was giving them for the event at the time. And everyone said, how did you have the balls to go and do that? I said, well, I just felt in the mood to go and do it. I want to help people. And so I think people do want to talk to people, but they're nervous. And people have barriers up all the time. Approaching is difficult at the best of times. And if you're in a coffee shop and you want someone to approach you, don't stare at your phone. Don't pull out your book. Don't look down at the coffee. Look around like you did and smile at people and say, come and say hello to me. It's absolutely safe. Or ask them a question. Say, what are you going to eat? What sort of muffin do you recommend? Or I've heard that's a new drink. Or do you come here often? The oldest one in the book. And what's going to happen? And look, people like to give answers. All you're doing is aren't being polite. You're not saying, oh, you go out with me. You're not saying that. Imagine the embarrassment of that. If you're in a bookstore, you can ask them if they've read the book or any recommendations. And people aren't used to being spoken to. They've forgotten the art of this. But how did we meet pre-internet? We had to talk in real life. There was no choice. We couldn't mess each other or text them. The mobile phones didn't exist. Our parents weren't meeting in this way. We have to go back. Old school. And my advice is very much old school. I'm always evolving as a coach. I have to work with things like AI now as well. Always trying to work out the latest trends. But go back old school. My dad said when he was a child, he would go into the local village and the men would walk down one side all dressed up of the road and the women would come out of church and walk along the other side and they parade up and down and then they pair off and have conversations. Oh, that's the nicest way possible. That's how they did it. It's great. He didn't meet my mum that way. He came to London because he had the balls to do that. So it's different. They both did. In fact, they both moved to London. But that's how it used to be. We didn't just meet by swiping left and right. We gave people the chance. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's about overall. I forgot what the question was now, but that's my thoughts on that anyway.
Great. I love that. And I do think, I agree. I guess we were kind of talking about like what happened with people. And it is like, there has been a loss of, what it means to communicate with others, or the fact that we've forgotten, like we're literally a human being with a heart and a hidden desire, especially for folks who are separated or recently single. Like at the end of the day, we all desire a partner. Like no matter how independent and strong you are, when you go home, it would be so nice to cook and share this space for even an hour or two with someone else, And I think in order for us to fulfill that and go out and attract or create that partnership, as you say, it's literally putting yourself out there. And it starts with being kind, like complimenting someone, with the cafe, like going in and just, I've invited people to sit with me when I'm working, like whether it's a man or woman, I'm like, hey, you look like, it's fun and it gets easier, even though they say no. And as you said, if it's a no or a rejection, you've just been redirected and you're better for it. And I think that's something people need to hear.
It's true. The world needs more kindness. I'm always saying that. We all need more love. And just paying someone a compliment or being nice or saying hello to someone at a bus stop or saying good morning, that's enough to go and do that. Do you know that I tell you a little secret, actually? Because it's always feel like I need to confess everything in my life now. I can talk to anybody if I want to. On my clients and people in real life at my events. Sometimes, though, I want to talk to nobody. I want to be on my own. I can go to a family party. I want to sit in the corner and I can't be bothered to talk to anybody. And do you know what? Absolutely fine with that. Absolutely fine. I would do it when I have to. But I think it's not that I'm scared of people talking to them. Sometimes it isn't the right time and you're just not really feeling it. The reason I'm saying this, I think no one's perfect. We shouldn't have to turn it on this charm all the time. But really, just saying good morning isn't a great challenge. How many times do people say good morning to strangers? The answer is probably never. Unless they're in a shop. Maybe they're talking to say good morning. But really, go out there, walk past someone in the street, tomorrow, go out there and do that, everyone that's listening, and just say good morning and then smile and keep walking. And how many people will say good morning back to you? I have to do this. I live in a little village now. I take my children to school, I walk along. Some people will smile at me and say good morning. Some of them won't. Some will just look away. I'm not going to talk to him. He looks scary. Some say he looks really nice and say good morning. But I think good morning is a nice thing. But it took me a while to adjust to this. And I think it took me a while people just going to say hello. Because I'm so used to being in London where people don't talk to each other. But it's a nice community feel. Go and say good morning. And then you start good morning. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I want everyone to go and say good morning to everybody. And then before long, the world would be a lot happier place, wouldn't it?
It is, and it sounds like, it may sound simple, but it really does like create not only does it set the tone for your day, it does the idea that it's making a difference and trickling down someone else's. Today I went on a walk and I think I just to get out, disconnect and enjoy. And someone said good morning to me, and I said good morning back. It surprised me, and I smiled.
There you go. Yeah.
The rest of my walk, I said it to 3 other people, and I want to say like at least 2 of them said it back. The other one was like, got a lot going on. It's fine. But
you've just proven what I said, haven't you?
Exactly. Yes, it works, everyone. I just want the evidence is here.
But there's a block here, because if I go for a walk normally, not in the morning, but I go for a walk, I try to go for a walk every day. I have done that since about the beginning of last year. I've done for a walk every day, set amount of steps. I'm doing quite well with that. I have my headphones in, and the little earbuds. I'm going to listen to podcasts or audiobooks. I'm doing that because I want to learn at the same time. It's difficult for someone to start a conversation with you if you've got earplugs in. So if you're doing this when you want to be approached by people, when you're in the gym, for example, take the earplugs out. No one's going to come up and talk to you if you're wearing earplugs. So if you're doing it and you want to start conversations, don't wear earplugs. There's another barrier that I see all the time. And I do it myself. Not to block people out. I just like to multitask at the same time.
That's a really good point. Wow. And like you said, I think I've heard it before as well. Like if you're going out, like, and this is for anyone who wants to like take themselves out, like I highly encourage doing solo dates. But even when you're going out and you're like wanting to spend time with yourself and you still want to create that invitation to be approached, it's put your phone away and just kind of take in your atmosphere, look around, see if this is like your ideal setting. Like, do you notice anyone that catches your eye, and have they caught your eye, vice versa and stuff like that. I think that's important, because people on a phone is just very, it's that attachment that's not very attractive, to be honest with you.
we're all addicted to our phones. That's the reality. And they're like a third hand that we've got, and we can't leave them alone. But you have to. If you want people to talk to you, put the third person away. It's difficult enough to approach one person, but you and your phone at the same time, that's 2 of you. See it as that way. Put the phone down, and then you can just focus on what's going on. And I did a podcast with someone this morning, and she told me that every morning she goes for a run, but purposely doesn't listen to any podcasts, because she wants to be at one with nature and listen out to the sounds, and it helps her connect, which is great advice. But again, it's about balance. It's about balance. I do it for 2 walks a day. The one in the morning, I'm with my son. I'll talk to my son, or I'll walk back and talk to someone else. But when I do my exercise, I will have the podcast playing. It's all about balance, all about what you want to do. But really, if you want to be approached, be approachable.
Be approachable. I know this has been such a wonderful episode, James, and I know we'll have to wrap it up, but I could talk to you forever. I know we have really good banter back and forth.
Me too. Yeah.
And this is this just came up to me because I think a lot of people maybe they ask you this, but how do you know when you're in love?
You know when you're away from that person that you really want to be with them. That's the simple answer. Because when you're with somebody, often you forget to appreciate it and be in the moment. When you're away from them, for example, maybe you've got to go to work, or you go to the gym, or you step away. That's the moment. I can't wait to see them again. I'm really excited. What will they think when I tell them this happened? I can't wait to plan the holiday together. When you're making plans, that's what it's about. So the reason I'm saying this, you have to have that space, and you have to give them that chance to miss you, particularly in the early days. You can't see each other every single day and expect, this is going really, really well, I can't wait to see them. That little space, being away from them, gives you the chance to miss them, and to appreciate them, and to want to know what's going to happen next, and to start to fantasize in a good way, and to start to plan your future so you can imagine that. So really, I think you will know when you're not with them. I hope that makes sense.
That's lovely. That's such a beautiful way to approach it. And I think my follow-up question, I have to say, is
yes.
you said they're like, what's the phrase? Distance creates, desire in a sense.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. That's going on my Instagram. Okay, right.
tag me in
I
it.
tag you in it. Distance creates. I'm not sure my wife will think I tag you into that. Distance creates desire. Okay, she's just started an account. Sees that. Okay, I have to explain that one.
Victoria.
Tag you in. I'll tag you both into it. How about that? That's fair
You
enough, right?
quote me. That's what I
I'll
prefer.
quote you. Yes, go on.
Um,
What's the question?
the question is, with like love versus it, how do people know they're not hooking into something that may be unhealthy? Like, oh, like you said, not seeing each other every day, I think is a great way to have balance. But when if you're creating this distance and you're like, you're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. At the same time, I want to plan things with you. I can't wait to share these news with you. Like, I feel like in a sense that is a sign of love because you want to, share the good and share the bad with this person, knowing that
Yeah,
they're going to hold space. But how do you know you're not acting on a fear of losing them? Does that make sense?
it does make sense. The secret to any relationship is, well, there's many secrets, of course. I can come out with 20 right now on the spot if I wanted to. Let's be honest. One of them is quite simply time. How do they treat you over a period of time? Because the way that everyone treats you in the first few weeks, the first month, this little honeymoon period, everyone's in their best behaviour. You will see how people react over time, how they treat you. No one's a priority in the early days. You can't expect to be a priority. They're not going to drop all their friends to see you. If you find over time they are treating you in the way that they promise they're going to treat you, with respect, and they're doing things that they, not all the time, but most of the times they should be doing, and then you think this is going somewhere, you trust your gut instinct over that. If they are cancelling plans on you, they are being late for dates, not making you a priority at all in the later months, then you know that's not right. But you will always know deep down how someone's treating you, how it makes you feel. Because quite simply, are you feeling good? Great, this is going somewhere. Are they making you feel bad and miserable and lonely and unappreciated? Kick them into touch. Go and find somebody else. Or at the very least, speak to an expert like us and we'll tell you what's going on and we'll help you work that out.
Yes. Oh, thank you, James. I appreciate your expertise and your storytelling and just there has been a lot of great gold nuggets through this episode. Is there anything else you'd like to share with everyone who's been tapping into this juicy episode?
I'll share my website. Can I share that? That's a good plan.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
I'll share that. Yeah,
I'm gonna have all
yeah. Of course, we'll do that. We'll put that in the notes, of course. But I'll finish with one last bit of advice, if that's what we're doing. And then I'll promote my websites, just to make sure.
yes.
First, I'll tell you why. There's a reason for that in a minute. I mentioned this earlier on the podcast. If you want to go out and find somebody, you've got to start somewhere. Don't delay it now. There's always a good time for dating. You just can't delay it because taking those first small steps, getting some pictures for a dating app, writing a profile, getting to that event that you think about going to, getting out there, that's going to create momentum. Momentum creates positive reactions. And I believe in the law of attraction very much. If we do things in life, we're going to attract back the same energy. That's what I do. That's why I try and give good energy about as much as I can. But you have to act on this. It's not a magical wish list, the law of attraction. Things aren't going to happen to you. Take action now, even just small steps. And before you know it, time will go on and you'll have built that mountain and you'll have climbed it and you'll have what you want, happy ever after. That's my last bit of advice for you. Unless you have further questions, as you might well do, thinking of them right now, I can see in your face. I'd like to tell everyone, if you want to find more about me, go to my website, which is jamespreece.com. You can go on there, find out about my coaching, read my advice, or get my free Law of Attraction book that's available on my newsletter page on there. You can find me on James Preece Coaching on Instagram, or my Love Machine podcast, which you're a wonderful guest on there, and there's 225 plus episodes on there. But I've recently launched my new Dating Academy, which is available on my website or datingacademy.co.uk, which is a brand new platform for singles all over the world to come and pay a very small monthly fee to join each other for group coaching, guest experts, live sessions with me, and loads of different advice to help each other and support them. So I think people empower each other. And that's my latest project, datingacademy.co.uk. Like a radio show there. Do you like that?
Thank you, James. You're fantastic. Everybody, we're gonna have all this in the show notes too, but definitely like if there's a part of this episode that it resonated deeply, like let us know and reach out. James has a lot of great information and stories, as you've said. And yeah, this is wonderful, James. Thanks for being on Love and Lattes.
Thank you so much for having me. I know we'll speak again soon. Bye for now.